I wish that wall wasn't so white. I just got my hair done and I got my nails done. Shout out Mia for the nails. Shout out Paige for the hair. So, anyway, hello. Happy spring. Happy April. I don't know when I'll get around to editing this. Is there makeup under my eye? Do I just look like that? Anyway, happy April. Happy spring. We are here to do a quarterly wrap up today. I was just gonna wait and do a year, like end of the year wrap up, but that video would be like 2 hours long and I don't want to do that and no one wants to watch that. But yeah, we're just gonna go through my first 3 months of reading this year in order of the way that I read them. I already talked about a few of these books in my like what I read in a week video, so I'm not gonna go too in depth on them unless I didn't go in depth on them in the video. But we're gonna start with January, obviously. I read 3 books in January. And the first book I read at the beginning of the year was by K.L. Walther. I've read all of her books so far, and it was Maybe Meant to Be. This is definitely my favorite by her. It's about these kids at a boarding school. Hang on, what are their names? It's Sage, It's Sage, Charlie, Luke, and Nick. And Sage and Charlie are supposed to be in love with each other. But she likes his brother Nick, and Charlie's also not into her. And this, I don't want to spoil it. It's their senior year, and they're talking about college and a bunch of fun stuff. These are YA romances, so they're not like the most thrilling thing ever. And I can't totally remember what the setting of the Summer of Broken Rules was, but it's kind of just like rich kid drama, which is great. Like, it's fun. I love her books. I read another one that we'll get to in a minute, but yeah, this is a really good start to the year. Super chill, super like low stakes. It was awesome. And then the second book I read in January was the complete opposite, and that is A Man Called Uva. If you know anything about this book, I was crying from like the halfway point on, and the movie is just as good. This was 5 stars for me personally, but it's about a grumpy old man and his annoying neighbors, and his wife is dead, and he has no purpose in life after his wife dies. But then his neighbors keep bugging him and thus give him a purpose for life. And it's so good. I can't believe I waited so long to read this. I had this on my TBR for, I feel like, a year, because I read Anxious People by Frederick Backman, and I didn't really like it. So I'm surprised that I bought this in the first place. But this is one of my faves. And the movie is just as good. The movie is Americanized. There's actually still, because this is set in Sweden, and the movie's set in America, and it's with Tom Hanks. But there is a Swedish version as well. I have not seen that, so I cannot tell you if it's good. The last book I read in January was the first book in the Darker Shade of Magic series. This is very good. This is very good. So this follows Kel, and there's like different worlds, and what is it called? Antari, and so he can travel through worlds with his magic. And some of the worlds have magic, some of them have bad magic. He lives in like magic is chill world. And he accidentally brings like a thing of dark magic into his world, and he has to like put it back. He also lives with the royal family. So it follows Kel, Prince Rye, and then Lila, who is from a different world. Those were what I read in January. So it was only 3 books, but if you know me, fantasy takes me a minute to get to. The first 2 books I read in February were the second and third book. This is the second book. It's called A Gathering of Shadows, and then A Conjuring of Light is the last book. So obviously we have Kel here, and then we have Lila here, and then we have Prince Rye here. This is my favorite fantasy series. I haven't read that many. I read them back to back, and when I wasn't reading them, I was thinking about them. It took me like about a month to get through the 3 of them, but the chapters are really short, and they're really easy to read, and I really love them. And because I've read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, I haven't read any of her other stuff. But I do want to read her other stuff. I just haven't yet. This is where we get into the territory of the what I read in a week video, so I don't want to speak too much. The next book I read was My Death by Lisa Tuttle. I read this for class because I'm in a horror writing class. It's like about how horror like violates typical craft forms. The plot of this is this writer, her like husband dies, and her editor is like, we gotta get you doing another book. And she's like, I think I want to do a biography of this lady. And then it gets weird. But the assignment I had to do with this was rewrite the ending. I don't think I did a very good job. But he's more of a did you do it professor and less of a this was good or bad professor. So this was fine. I feel quite indifferent about this book, if I'm being honest. And then still in February, I started to read Supermarket. This is by Logic, the rapper, as I stated my confusion with that in the last video. But this is about a guy who has a schizophrenic break, basically. It was fine. I gave it 2 stars. It was really vulgar when it didn't need to be. I like how it feels, and that was its redeeming quality. Then this next book I started the last day of February, and I finished it on March 3rd. And that is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. So I didn't talk about this very much in the video, so I'm going to get into it now. I was like too curious. Like I needed to know what this book was about. And so it's about werewolves and vampires and humans, but mostly werewolves and vampires. And none of these species like each other. They literally give children of their species as like collateral to the others. And I know there's like a whole branch of fan fiction that's like this. I never read any of that. So I was very not aware of this going into it. Let me say, it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But it's definitely weird. But here was my thing, is I was more interested in like the side quest than like the romance. Because the main character, her name is Misery. She's a vampire and her name is Misery. What is the guy's name? Lowe. The werewolf's name is Lowe, like Lowe. And he's the alpha. Don't worry. But Misery and Lowe, and so Misery's best friend disappears, and she thinks that the werewolves have something to do with it. And so when her dad is like, hey, can you marry a werewolf as collateral, even though she was already the collateral for humans her whole childhood, and then she ended up choosing to live with humans because she didn't know how to be a vampire. And she's like, yeah, because she thinks it's going to lead to her best friend. And so I was more interested in that than like the development of her and Lowe's relationship. This was also, it took me so long to read this. I thought, like, this is like a little less than 200 or 400 pages, and I was like, I'll read that in a couple hours. I think this probably took me 5 or 6 or maybe even 7 hours to read. Probably because I just had to pay attention because I was so confused by this world and I know nothing about vampires and werewolves. I said to my friend, I was like, I think if I watched Twilight, this would have hit harder. It was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I kind of liked it. I did like this more than, I read Love Hypothesis by her, and I liked this more than that. But I just kind of hated Love Hypothesis. That might be my fault. Like, I don't know why I hated it so much, but I did not like Love Hypothesis. I read Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, and then Aristotle and Dante Discover the Waters of the World. I have a lot to say about these two. This book is incredible. This is like the gay coming of age book ever to me personally. It's about Aristotle and Dante, and Aristotle goes by Ari, and they live in a border town, and they're like struggling with their Mexican American identities. They're struggling with being in high school, and then Dante moves away for like a year. Anyway, they're into each other, and like Ari doesn't get that. Just like the family relationships that go on, because like Dante's super close to his parents and he's an only child, whereas Ari has twin sisters who are like 10 years older than him and an older brother in jail, and his dad is a Vietnam War vet and his mom is a teacher. And you get to know and love the parents, which was super special because I feel like that doesn't happen very much in books. But I gave this 5 stars, and I finished this and found out there was a second book, and I was like, I need to go get that right now. I literally got my ass up and went to Barnes & Noble quite literally 10 minutes after I finished this. And I grabbed Aristotle and Dante Discover the Waters of the World. This was not originally supposed to have a second book. And I'm not gonna say like you can tell, but the vibe changed a lot. And I did get what I wanted from Ari and Dante, I think. Like, I wanted more about them. But this book, like, heavily focuses on the AIDS crisis. And it just dives deeper into the family relationships and whatever. And you get, like, his parents open up more, which is super great. But there's, like, an unexpected tragedy that I don't think needed to happen. And then Dante did something weird at the end that I felt like was really out of character. So I would recommend reading this. You can skip this, I think, personally. Because part of this is like it ends on such a light note, and then this is just doom and gloom for the whole 500 pages. And yeah, like when did this come out? Let's see. Copyright 2021. I literally think this was like 2012. Yeah, 2012. So they're almost a decade apart, and it's just, I don't know, but this was really, really, really good. I think I still gave this like 3 or 4 stars, but this was a no-brainer 5-star read for me, and I will probably read it again. Oh, and the movie is pretty good too. So there's that. The movie's really good. It was pretty on par with the book too, which I loved. Okay, what did I read next? Oh, man. I didn't grab it. Hang on. I grabbed it. But this is like where everything starts to go a little bit downhill. But I finally read The 7 Days in June. This was so hyped up by not only the whole internet, but some of my favorite book creators. And a lot of the ones who have a lot of similar taste in books as me. So I was going into this thinking this would be a 4 or 5 star read. I think I give this a 2 or 3. Like, hang on, let me look. 3. I gave it 3 stars. But it's probably more like a 2.5. But you can't do half stars on Goodreads. I think I gave it a 2.5 on Fable. Fun fact, I use Goodreads and Fable. Because I want to fade out using Goodreads, but when I transferred all of my stuff, only like half of it went. So I need to go and put like 100 books into Fable, and I just haven't done it yet. But it's not bad. I just think, one, I hyped it up too much, which is my fault. But also, like, I was under the impression that this was like peak, like, yearning, I think is how someone I follow described it. It wasn't. They like get back together like immediately. Like literally like before page 100. And I was like, that's not, no. And I feel like when they were originally together doesn't get enough lights. Like, they were only together for 7 days in June, like 10 years ago or whatever. And it just didn't do it for me. And I was really excited to read it, and I'm really sad. But it's about Shane and Ava, and they were like together for 7 days in June when they were 17. And then they didn't see each other again. But they both become authors, and they had been writing about each other for the whole time. And Ava's divorced. She has a daughter. Shane is a recovering alcoholic. And so it's like set up super well, but something about it is a little bit off. And I don't know what it is, especially considering so many people loved this book. I was like, what else did I read? Nobody Does It Like Sig New.
Nobody does it like Sig New.
Sorry, me and my roommates have been saying that. Do you know what that is? We were watching The Summer I Turned Pretty, and I was like, Jeremiah looks like a frat boy. And then my sister and my roommate said, nobody doesn't like Sig New. And I was like, what are you talking about? Insert video.
Nobody does it like Sig New.
Nobody does it like Sig New. Anyway. Also, you want to know what's stuck in my head? You know the episode of Good Luck Charlie where Spencer and Teddy are like George and Martha Washington for a play or something? I wonder if I can find that video.
I'm off to fight at Valley Forge, but first I'll lead them cross the water.
That's what put him on the quarter.
The song they sing is stuck in my head. Which is funny because I probably have not seen that since it came out. The next one I read is another K.L. author book. This was not very good. And let me tell you why. So I think I gave this 2 stars. No, I gave it 3. I'd probably give it 2.5. This is While We're Young, and it follows Grace, Isa, Everett, and James. Grace and James, is his name James? Yeah. Grace and James are Irish twins, so they don't have the same birthday, but they're in the same year. And there's like lore that like Isa and Everett used to be together, but now Grace likes Everett and Isa likes James, and they have a whole senior ditch day moment. It was almost good, but they steal Isa's parents' Tesla, and so it's just like talking about the Tesla, and I'm like, pick any other car. I don't know, like when did this come out? This like just came out, but like the Tesla, like I just don't want to be thinking about real life while I'm reading a book. It's like when people bring up Instagram or TikTok in a book, that's what the Tesla felt like. And I'm like, couldn't it have been like a Mustang? I don't know if Mustangs are like that expensive. What's like an expensive car? Like a Porsche? I don't know. It's just like Tesla just made me think of technology, and I was like, I don't want to think about my phone. And they're also in Philadelphia, and they like they don't break into the museum, they buy a ticket, and they like signed the Declaration of Independence. I'm like, what the heck are we talking about? What do you mean they took the Declaration of Independence and signed it? Because in all of her other books, they have some sort of like crazy thing they do against the rules, and all of it's like realistic. What do you mean you took the Declaration of Independence and signed it? I feel like without that and like the whole Tesla talking the whole time, I think it literally would have been better. Because I love a small friend group drama, especially when it involves siblings. I think that's fun to read about, and I really, really like that aspect of it, and I liked their family relationships and stuff, but I just could not get behind the signing the Declaration of Independence. Personally, I thought that was like they signed. Now, these books are the ones I read recently. I barely read over spring break. Spring break was last week. And let me tell you why. So for my English class, I had to read The Topeka School by Ben Lerner. This book was so damn boring. And I am not the kind of person who like doesn't remember what's going on in a book. I did not retain a single thing. I had to do like an assignment and like a small essay for this, and I was fighting for my life trying to figure out what the hell happened in this book. And part of it was because like I wasn't reading very closely, but I also just think the way it was written was like it set you up to be bored, and I was bored. Like I just was bored. And I think the point of view switches it. Okay, so it follows Adam, who is a speech and debate kid in high school, and then it switches perspective between him and his dad and his mom. Yes. And then like I don't know. I could not tell you what happens in this. I'm literally so serious. Like I didn't like it. Like I don't even think I rated it on good. Like I literally don't think I gave it a rating because I was like, that didn't happen. And we were talking about it in class, and she was like, what do you think? And I was like, I literally said to my professor, I was like, I am not one to not know what was going on in a book. I don't know what happened in this book. And she was like, okay. And like I said to her, I was like, I almost read it again. She was like, don't read it again. And I was like, oh, so you don't even like the book. What? And I read This Is How You Lose the Time War. Please bear with me while I talk about this book. This is a very, very loved book. And I can understand why it is a loved book. It is about 2 girls there's a time war going on, so basically they're in different timelines, and each timeline is trying to manipulate the timeline to, maybe they're trying to manipulate the past to benefit their, what's the word I'm looking for? Their agencies. That might be the word I need. And throughout this, they figure out how to write letters to each other. The letters are beautiful. Like the writing, the longing over different time spans. What's the word? Anyway, they're talking through like time travel, basically. And they're in different strands. I think they're called strands. And here's the issue with this book. Any part that isn't the letter is confusing and nothing's explained. And I don't think a prologue would have harmed anybody. And this is by two different authors as well. It's by Amal El Matar. I can't pronounce anything. And then Max Gladstone. And I really, really wanted to like this book, and I didn't. And I'm really upset about it. But again, the letters are very beautiful. And like you can tell the distress of loving somebody across a timeline. Or whatever the heck it is. But like nothing, like I wanted to know more about what was happening outside the letters. And I literally texted my best friend and I was like, she's like, you're not supposed to care. And I'm like, well, I do. And then the last book I was reading that I'm gonna DNF for now. And I was so sad about this, but it is The Unworthy by Augustina Bazterrica. I read Tender as the Flesh by her. And I hate that book, but it's amazing. I hate it, but it's amazing. Like the commentary on capitalism. If you don't know what Tender as the Flesh is about, there was a disease that killed like all livestock and animals and stuff. And so they start breeding humans for meat, obviously, because there's no other solution to that problem. But that book was very good. And I've been anticipating this for a long time. I just don't think I'm in the mood to read it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I also think reading these two before it did not help. So like I do think I'll probably pick this back up again, maybe over summer. But I don't know. I only read the first like 35 pages and it's pretty short. It's like less than 200. It's 170 something pages. And so I was like, I'm not in the mood to read this and I need to put it down. Anyway, is that all I have to say? I think it is. Anyway, let me know if you liked this video. Hashtag like and subscribe or whatever the kids say these days.